The Zathran hegemony had ruled the Orion Arm for 3 centuries, and in all that time, no species had dared challenge their supremacy. Their warships carved through space like obsidian blades, and their weapons reduced entire worlds to cosmic dust. 74 civilizations had fallen beneath their boots, their populations enslaved or exterminated according to the hegemony's cold calculus. Kivin stood on the observation deck of the Retribution's edge, watching the blue-green marble of Earth rotate beneath him. The human homeworld looked peaceful from orbit, almost fragile. He touched the holographic interface, zooming in on the colony ship that had just departed from Luna Station. Aboard that vessel were 10,000 humans, farmers, engineers, children, heading toward a new world in the Kepler system. Commander Kivin, his second officer, hissed in the Zathran language, mandibles clicking. "The Council has authorized the demonstration. We are to proceed." Kivan's 3-fingered hand tightened on the railing. The hegemony's strategy was simple: make an example of humanity's colonial ambitions. Destroy one ship, broadcast the footage across human networks, and watch them retreat into their home system like frightened prey. It had worked on 60 other species. "Target the colony ship," Kivin ordered, his voice hollow. "Fire when ready." The antimatter torpedo streaked across the void at 0.3 C, a spear of annihilation that left a trail of Cherenkov radiation in its wake. It struck the colony ship amidships, and for one brilliant moment, a second sun blazed in Earth's sky. 10,000 lives extinguished in an instant. Among them was Lisa Chen, 8 years old, who had spent the last hour of her life pressing her face against a viewport, watching Earth shrink behind her. She'd been clutching a worn, stuffed rabbit and telling her mother about the flowers she wanted to plant on their new world. Dr. Sarah Chen received the news in her laboratory at CERN. Her daughter was dead. Her husband was dead. Everyone she'd waved goodbye to 3 days ago was now scattered atoms drifting through space. She didn't scream, didn't cry. Her face simply went blank as something fundamental broke inside her. "Sarah," her colleague ventured carefully, "you should go home, take time." "No," her voice was ice, "I'm going to work." The other scientists exchanged worried glances, but no one stopped her as she walked to the quantum laboratory, her footsteps echoing in the sterile hallway. For 2 years, their team had been experimenting with quantum entanglement on a macroscopic scale, attempting to create stable Einstein-Rosen bridges. The energy requirements were astronomical. They'd only managed to keep a wormhole the size of a proton stable for 0.003 seconds. Sarah sat down at her workstation and began typing. Her fingers flew across the keyboard, tears finally streaming down her face as she rewrote the safety protocols, disabled the limiters, and rerouted power from the entire European grid. "Sarah, what are you doing?" Her supervisor ran into the lab. "Those readings, you'll collapse the entire facility into a singularity." "I know exactly what I'm doing," she whispered. She initiated the sequence. Kivin watched humanity's response with professional interest. He expected outrage, military mobilization, perhaps a futile attack that his fleet would crush. What he didn't expect was silence. For 72 hours, Earth went dark. All broadcasts ceased. Ships that had been en route to other systems changed course, racing back home. The humans were gathering, consolidating. "They're afraid," his second officer observed with satisfaction. The demonstration was successful. But Kivin felt uneasy. He'd studied humanity's history, their wars, their resilience, their disturbing tendency to become more dangerous when cornered. Something felt wrong. The alarms began screaming at 400 ship time. "Commander, spatial anomaly detected." The sensor officer's words cut off as reality tore itself apart. A wound opened in space, a perfectly spherical void that shouldn't exist according to any known physics. It was 3 kilometers in diameter, and it had appeared directly in the middle of the hegemony's fleet. Then things started falling out of it. Kinetic kill vehicles, each one a 100-ton tungsten rod accelerated to 0.9 C. They had been fired from the other side of the wormhole, from Earth's surface, and they emerged already at relativistic speeds. There was no warning, no time to evade, no shields that could stop them. Kiven's flagship shuddered as one of the rods passed within a kilometer, its gravity wake nearly tearing the ship apart. Around him, hegemony warships exploded like fireworks as the relativistic projectiles punched through them. The kinetic energy of each impact was equivalent to a nuclear weapon, and there were thousands of them. Evasive maneuvers, Kiven screamed, but it was too late. The Retribution's edge lurched as a tungsten spear tore through its engineering section. Atmosphere vented into space. Fires erupted across multiple decks. The ship began to tumble, its artificial gravity failing. Through the chaos, Kiven managed to access the external cameras. What he saw made his blood freeze. More wormholes were opening, hundreds of them, thousands, each one vomiting forth more death, more destruction. The humans weren't just using one wormhole, they'd created a network, a grid of Einstein-Rosen bridges that turned all of space into a weapon. And still the projectiles came. Kiven realized with horrifying clarity that the humans had done something unprecedented. They'd weaponized quantum mechanics itself. Every one of those wormholes was anchored to a specific set of quantum coordinates, allowing instantaneous deployment of kinetic weapons anywhere in the galaxy. The humans had turned the very fabric of spacetime into their battlefield. But it was the why that truly terrified him. The hegemony had killed before. They destroyed worlds, exterminated billions. Other species had mourned and submitted. But humans had responded to the death of 10,000 colonists by unlocking physics that shouldn't be possible, driven by a grief so profound it bent the laws of nature. One child, one little girl named Lisa Chen, her death had triggered this. The second officer pulled himself across the tilting deck, 3 of his 6 limbs broken. "Commander, we must surrender." "There's no one to surrender to," Kiven whispered, watching another wormhole bloom like a deadly flower, vomiting forth more tungsten death. "This is automated. They've created a defensive grid that will kill anything that approaches their system." Across the hegemony's fleet, over 2,000 warships died in less than 10 minutes. The survivors fled, their FTL drives screaming as they jumped away from the slaughter. 3 months later, Kiven knelt in the Galactic Council chambers, no longer a commander but a witness. The hegemony itself had collapsed, its member species rising in rebellion once they realized the humans had shattered the myth of Zathran invincibility. A human diplomat stood before the assembled representatives of 400 civilizations. She was young, professional, her face betraying no emotion. "We did not want this war," she said quietly. "We wanted only to live in peace, to build our colonies, to raise our children. You took that from us. You killed a little girl named Lisa Chen who wanted to plant flowers on a new world. She was 8 years old." The chamber was utterly silent. "So we made you a promise," the diplomat continued. "We promised Lisa and the 9,999 others you murdered that no species would ever again threaten humanity's children. The quantum defense grid is now complete. It covers all of human space and will expand as we do. It is eternal, autonomous, and absolutely lethal to any military vessel that approaches our worlds." She paused, letting that sink in. "We are not conquerors. We will not pursue you across the galaxy. But if you come for us, if you threaten our children, the grid will activate. And there is no force in this universe that can stop it." Kiven looked at her and saw not triumph, but bottomless grief. The humans had won, but victory tasted like ashes. They had become something they never wanted to be, a species so dangerous that the galaxy would forever fear them. All because the hegemony had killed one child. The diplomat turned to leave but stopped at the chamber doors. Her name was Lisa Chen, she said one final time. "Remember that name. Remember what it cost you to make us do this." As the doors closed behind her, Kivin understood the truth. The hegemony hadn't just lost a war. They'd awakened something that should have remained sleeping. Humanity's fury, born of grief, had fundamentally altered the balance of power in the galaxy. And it all began with a little girl who'd wanted to plant flowers among the stars.